Okay, well, if I had a nickel for every single time a player out of Georgia whose last name was Walker was played in a very versatile way, which made it difficult to evaluate how good they were, and yet they're still getting projected to be a first-round pick, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird it's happened twice. Yes, Jalon Walker here, a very, very fascinating prospect. Many people do feel as though he could be I'm currently on the consensus big board. He's at pick number 10 is where he's projected to go. What's going to happen here? Well, first, let's look at his PFF draft profile. This is kind of a good way to familiarize with this prospect. You might be sitting here saying, wait a second, what's this profile? You said a guy's projected to go 10th overall. This doesn't look like a guy who's projected to go 10th overall. He's listed at linebacker, but honestly, I don't know if I see him at linebacker. We'll get into it, but these are his linebacker grades. So for his pass rush grade, hey, great pass rush grade for a linebacker, which we will talk about. But the run defense grade is only, look, it's at the first quarter of players. And keep in mind, this isn't among players who are going to be drafted. This was among college players last year. So he was a bad run defender last year as an off-ball linebacker, just period, according to PFF, which is, again, this should not be taken as gospel, of course. But even the coverage, not very good there. And watching the film, I mean, you just can't help but agree with a lot of this stuff. So, like, this is going to be a run defense rep. You have a guard who's going to be blocking him one-on-one. And as you see, it just doesn't go too well for Walker. He gets blocked out of the way pretty easily right there. Essentially, in these situations, this is just not where he thrives. And it's honestly kind of surprising. And Georgia does this, but it's a little surprising that he was out there as much as he was in these types of situations. Like, I'm watching some of his coverage, and it's just not good, quite frankly. I mean, this play is a good example where it's a zone play and there's an extra player in coverage. That's worth mentioning. So you have 8 guys in coverage. So, okay, you can be a little bit more free to take some chances if you want to. That is where Jalon Walker is on this play. You will see where he's about to cover, where he's supposed to cover in a second. Okay, let's let the play begin. You're going to see that Walker, so this wasn't a play action or anything, and he's living up to his name, just kind of walking forward. And I don't know exactly where he's going right here. He's not reading the play at all, looking at the receivers around him, but he's also not just staying where you would think he would be staying. There should be a window that you can kind of see just a little bit. If he takes a few steps back and a couple steps further towards the bottom of the screen, that's kind of where he should be, where his gap is, and he's kind of just taking himself out of there, even though there's also no receivers there. Again, if there's a receiver there, okay, take a chance. He's not doing that either. Instead, quarterback spots the open gap and throws it there, and it results in an interception. So, hey, great, 200 IQ play by Jalon Walker to bait him into the interception, but obviously that's not a smart play by Walker. He just abandoning his assignment for no real reason. He just doesn't have a feel for coverage, and I see these plays, and I just don't think he's an off-ball linebacker. But that's okay, because I'm not the only one who feels that way. A lot of people feel as though he is an edge, and again, on the consensus big board, he is currently the second highest ranked edge behind Abdul Carter. So a lot of people feel like he can be an edge rusher. Well, let's talk about him there. So let's go over to a play like this. This is him not as an edge rusher, actually. This is him as an off-ball linebacker, but it's a pass rush rep. And that's the thing you look at with someone like Walker. Can he just be a pass rusher on the outside or even on the inside? A versatile guy, perhaps. Well, watch what he's going to do. Look at how he's able to use his speed and also use his hands very nicely to help get immediately towards the quarterback. Now, there was a place for the quarterback to get rid of the football. Ultimately, didn't result in what he was hoping it would result in. But nonetheless, that's a really good play there by Jalon Walker, right? To me, if you are drafting Jalon Walker, you are not drafting him to be an off-ball guy. Maybe on, the occasional snap where, if you want to drop a guy in coverage, the way some teams just have their edge rushers drop in coverage, it's a nice boost there. But you are drafting an edge rusher, in my opinion, if you're drafting Jalon Walker, or at least you should be. Because, you do see his athleticism in stuff like this. Well, I don't think it's as impressive when he's an off-ball guy. As an edge rusher, it really does pop. So this play is going to be a designed run to the right side of the screen. Walker is on the left side of the screen. He's unblocked by design because you're running away from the edge rusher. You can't block everybody. A lot of times the guy you leave unblocked will simply just be the edge rusher on the other side of the run. However, watch how Walker is just able to, once he reads the play, get over and help make that immediate tackle. That's a great play from Jalon Walker. So this is a run defense rep where he's winning because he's an edge and he's more open to be able to win in these types of things, which is what you like to see. Although ultimately, I can't sit here and say that this guy is a dominant pass rusher off the edge. I just can't. While he will have his moments where he really shines, this guy is a project through and through. Like this play, for example, it really just feels like this is kind of how I view him, is he often just shows up without really a plan on how to win. Watch, he's just going to go. There's no real attempt at getting his hands in any way to get around the tackle. He just kind of ran right into him. And to me, this is the concern I have with someone like a Jalon Walker, is what do we do with this guy? But ultimately, I am someone who was lower on very much lower on Trayvon Walker when he was drafted first overall. Now you have Jalon Walker, who there are similarities with the two players. And Trayvon Walker, listen, I still would rather Aiden Hutchinson, but has been a player who has worked at the next level, right? If whoever drafts Jalon Walker gets Trayvon Walker, I'm sure they'll be happy, although they are also completely different prospects. Even though there's a lot of similarities, they're just different players. Trayvon Walker was known for kind of his power and his freak athleticism. Jalon Walker has a lot of athleticism, but just there's in different ways. And like where I have trouble with Jalon Walker is like he has good qualities. There's things I see and I watch on film and I'm like, this is really cool and it looks awesome. Like when he uses hands as a defensive lineman, I'm like, man, this guy looks great. I don't know what to do with Jalon Walker. If I'm drafting him, I think I'm putting him at edge, but that's taking away some of the interior pass rush stuff that he can do. But I think I have to take that away because I don't think he's good enough in run defense over the middle or in coverage if he's playing off ball. I just don't see that. He has really good speed. He ran a 4.5, although again, as off ball, I just don't think he makes reads quick enough to really get there. But also, he's 21 years old and maybe is just someone who needs to develop. And so I do find him essentially a ball of clay that you can maybe do something with, but maybe it's just going to stay a ball of clay. And, ultimately you'll just throw away after a year because you're like, why do I have this ball of clay laying around, right? That's just kind of how I view Jalon Walker. So what would I do? If I'm an NFL team, I'm just not drafting him in the first round. I'm just not. And I get that someone else will, and there's a chance they will feel great. But ultimately, the way you have to view this stuff, I think, is not trying to go in and hit on 100% of prospects, but instead say, what is the prospect I'm okay with missing on? And to me, Jalon Walker is the prospect that I'm okay with missing on. There is a world where he ends up figuring it out at off-ball or as an edge and plays really well, and cool, that's an interesting world, but ultimately, the team I am not trying to emulate if I am an NFL franchise is the Jacksonville Jaguars in the Trent Baalke era. That's just not how I'm trying to go about things. But ultimately, we will see. I mean, he is not Trayvon Walker. He is not all those other players that have been a similar build that have not worked out, right? He is his own guy, and we'll see how it works. I really do think there is potential it works. I think I'd let someone else take that chance, and if they end up hitting the home run, good for them. That's how I view it. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching. Hey, thanks for watching to the end of that video. I do appreciate it. If you want to see my other channel, Jackson Kruger Movies, where I talk about movies, give some film reviews and stuff like that of a different kind, if that seems like your kind of thing, the link is in the description below for that, as is the link for my Twitter account. I'm at Jackson Kruger, so give me a follow on there if that's your kind of thing. And also, of course, remember to hit the subscribe button on this channel. I do always appreciate it. And thanks again for watching to the end of the video.